My name is Priya Malhotra. I'm 26 years old, and the day I moved out of my parents' house, my sister filmed me carrying my last box to the car and posted it with the caption, "Finally, the freeloader's gone. Peace at last." Within 20 minutes, 94 relatives had liked it. My mother commented, "This house breathes easier already." My father added a laughing emoji. I didn't respond. I didn't defend myself in the comments. I loaded the last box, drove to my new apartment, and opened a folder I'd kept hidden in my desk for 3 months. That night, while they were still laughing in the replies, I sent copies of 3 documents to 2 people and scheduled one message to go out at 7 a.m. By morning, nobody was laughing. My sister had 14 missed calls from our father. My mother sent one message: "We need to talk before this goes any further." My sister deleted the post, but deleting it didn't undo what she just handed me. The first dated, timestamped piece of evidence in a case that was about to cost my family a lot more than an apology. Before I tell you what was in that folder, tell me, what time is it where you're watching this from? I want to know how far this one travels. Growing up, I was told, gently and often, that I was the responsible one, which in my family meant I was the one who paid. My younger sister Anya was 2 years behind me and had never held a job longer than 4 months, something my parents described as her finding her path. I'd been contributing to the household since I was 20, rent, groceries, my father's blood pressure medication after his hours got cut at work. My parents ran a small tailoring business out of a rented storefront that had been quietly losing money for years. I found that out by accident, not because anyone told me. What I did know was that whenever I asked about moving out on my own, there was always a reason to wait. The business needed a cushion, Anya needed help with her car payment, the roof needed fixing. I kept giving. I told myself that was what family meant. 3 months before I left, a routine background check for a promotion at work flagged something strange. My credit report showed a personal loan I'd never taken out, $34,000, opened 11 months earlier, deposited into an account I didn't recognize. When I dug further, I found a second account, a $9,800 credit card, opened using my social security number, and an old email my mother had set up for me in high school. I didn't confront anyone right away. I called my cousin Devika, who worked in fraud investigation at a regional bank, and she told me exactly what I needed to do before I said a word to my parents: freeze my credit, download every document tied to both accounts, and preserve everything with timestamps. The personal loan documents told their own story. The verification calls had gone to my mother's phone. The deposited funds had moved, within a week, into the tailoring shop's business account. The signature on the application was close to mine but not right, the kind of signature someone copies carefully rather than writes naturally. When I quietly asked my mother about it, she didn't deny it. She said the loan had been meant to save the shop, that it would have been paid back before I ever noticed, and that I owed the family that much patience. My father, when he found out I knew, said one sentence that ended the conversation: "As long as you live in this house, you don't question how this family survives." That was the night I decided to leave. I said nothing about the documents I'd already saved. I packed quietly over the next week while my parents treated my planned move as a phase I'd grow out of. Anya's video was supposed to be the last word, a public celebration of my exit, performed for an audience of 94 relatives who had no idea what those relatives were actually applauding. Instead, it became a dated public record of exactly how my family described me on the same day their fraud was about to surface. I didn't argue in the comments. That night, I sent the loan documents, the credit card application, and a written statement disputing both accounts to the lender's fraud department and to Devika's contact at the bank, copied to a consumer protection attorney she recommended, a woman named Farah Whitlock. The scheduled 7 a.m. message to my family contained no insults, just a short note saying I had disputed both accounts, preserved all relevant records, and would be communicating in writing going forward. That message is why my father had 14 missed calls to Anya by 6 a.m. The lender had already frozen the business account tied to the loan, and the shop couldn't make a supplier payment that was due that morning. Farah advised one structured conversation before any formal filing, not because I owed my family secrecy, but to see whether they'd correct things voluntarily once they understood what I actually had. I chose a public diner, arrived early, and placed 2 folders on the table. My father tried to open with the same tone that had ended every disagreement in our house for years, reminding me who had raised me, who had fed me. I slid the folder toward him instead of answering. Inside were the loan documents, the forged signature comparison, and the transfer record showing exactly where the money had gone. My mother tried a softer approach, saying the loan was always meant to be temporary, that no one intended to hurt me. I placed the credit denial letter on top of her papers, the promotion I'd lost because the unexplained debt made me look financially unreliable on paper. This is what temporary cost me, I said. Anya, to her credit, went quiet the moment she saw the timestamp screenshot of her own post next to the lender's fraud alert dated the same week. She hadn't known about the loan specifically, she said, but she'd known money was tight and Priya was handling it, and she'd never asked what that meant. Farah's proposal was simple. Full cooperation with the lender's fraud investigation, repayment of every dollar traced back to the shop's account, coverage of the cost to repair my credit, and a public correction posted from the same account, visible for the same amount of time the original post had stayed up. My father called it extortion. I told him it was an opportunity he was free to decline, and that the alternative was a formal fraud complaint that wouldn't come with a negotiation table attached. Took 6 weeks. The tailoring shop took out a second legitimate loan, under my father's name only this time, to cover the restitution. My mother apologized in writing, though it took her 2 drafts before she managed one that didn't include the phrase "for the good of the family." Anya posted the correction herself. A plain statement that the original post had been wrong, that I had not been a freeloader, and that money had been taken in my name without my knowledge. My credit is clean again. I got the promotion the following quarter. Anya and I talk sometimes carefully, the way people do when they're rebuilding on ground that cracked once already. My parents and I communicate mostly through short, factual messages now, not because I'm punishing them, but because that's the kind of contact that still feels safe. I think about that post sometimes, how easy it was for 94 people to laugh at a caption without asking a single question about the person carrying the box. I don't need their apology anymore. I needed the truth on the record, and now it is. If your family has ever made your contributions invisible while calling you the problem, ask yourself who benefits from you staying quiet about it. Mine assumed my patience meant permission. It didn't. It just meant I hadn't finished building my case yet.